Hey, how's it going? This is Kelvin. I just wanted to do this video to talk about the albums that I really enjoyed in July. So it's August now, so I went ahead and just got some of the albums that I in my collection and wanted to talk about them, and yeah, just to show off my collection basically, and then just talk about the albums that really kicked ass last month. So to start things off, I'm going to talk about some of the thrash albums. So this is the Municipal Waste, Electrified Brain, and this is their 7th album from Nuclear Blast. Here's the disc. But yeah, this is a really sick freaking thrash album. I honestly haven't been following Municipal Waste for a while now. I think the last album I probably listened to was over 10 years ago, the Waste in Space album or something like that. But yeah, this Electrified Brain, damn, it was really fucking awesome. I love the artwork there. Yeah, it's just cool, fun, thrash metal. It's just party freaking thrash. Yeah, and if you know Municipal Waste, it's you know what you're in for. I really just dig all the songs, the way they kind of have a formula where they kind of kick into some thrash riffs, and then kind of in the chorus they kind of they slow it down, and they got those moshing mid-tempo riffs. So they're really good at that, and yeah, it's just a fucking awesome album. And I like that they included a couple guests. I forget who the other person was, but Barney from Napalm Death is on the second to last track. But yeah, cool album. Next is this one, Hatred. The Veil of Shadows. So Hatred, they're thrash from the Bay Area, Oakland, California, and I believe this is their 4th album. If you don't know Hatred, they're the sons of the 2 sons of Zetro from Exodus are in this band, and they don't necessarily sound like Exodus. They kind of have more of a death thrash style. On this album, they kind of do more melodic, death metal. I want to say the first track almost kind of reminds me of At the Gates. But yeah, I mean it's pretty good. I mean the first 2 songs are really good, but then the songs in the middle get kind of I don't know, they're not very memorable, and a lot of the songs just kind of blend together. But I think the last 3 songs are really pretty cool. So pretty average. I saw them in Gallup with Silver Talon and Ex Mortis, and was able to pick this up. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, if you dig death thrash with some melodic style, yeah, you'll definitely dig it. Next is Critical Defiance. The album's called No Life Forms. So I'm just a fan of Critical Defiance. I got their first album here. I always was just blown away by that album artwork. I mean, it just screams thrash metal. I mean, you got guys in hazmat suits, gas masks, with a fucking nuclear landscape. So I picked this up, I believe it was 2018. This is the newest album. So Critical Defiance, they're thrash band out of Chile, South American thrash. Here's the CD. They're cool. They remind me of a lot of Creator, Destruction, those German style. Definitely cool band picture right here. Definitely influenced by them. Another thing too, I really love the bass in the album. There's just a lot of cool bass work that I don't really hear that much in most thrash bands. So check them out. Human Condition. The album is what the heck's the album called? Oh, Fear Sick. So yeah, if you don't know In Human Condition, they're kind of like a retro, like old school throwback band. They initially started out as I believe the band started out writing material for the band Massacre. So Massacre is like a Florida death metal band from like the 90s, and so they were writing. The story is that they were writing material for Massacre, but this ended up becoming its own like band and project. And then they also recruited this guy right here, plays bass for Obituary and Massacre. Oh, sorry, Terry Butler. Yeah. So they recruited that guy, Terry Butler. He's, you know, badass guy in like a lot of the Florida death metal bands. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, if you know Massacre, I'm not familiar with Massacre, but I know that they are kind of like a Massacre worship band. But yeah, it's pretty sick. I really dig it. Every track is just really, you know, kind of like got like a thrashy template. So, but yeah, it's really cool. Really dig it. Yeah, check out Inhuman Condition.
Inside me, unleash a pent of fury, complete the vicious circle.
And then next, this band, holy shit. I don't know if people heard this. Molder, Engrossed in Decay. Fuck, wow. Like another kind of like new band using that throwback style. This time, this band, they are from Illinois, I think somewhere in Illinois, I think around the Chicago area. And they remind me, well, I'm sure it's been well like written that, you know, they're influenced by bands like Autopsy, Obituary, like kind of like those like 90s death metal bands, all this cool picture. But yeah, this is a fucking awesome album. One of my favorites. Yeah, like just if you dig that Autopsy kind of like style of old school death metal, it's kind of got almost like a punk kind of like approach. This is what you're in for. And I really dig the artwork. Let's see. The artwork's pretty brutal. I mean, there's like looks like there's like mucus all over. I got sick last month and tested positive for COVID, so it kind of reminded me of that, like coughing up all that mucus. But I'm okay now. But yeah, check out Molder. Next, Flesh Rot, Unburied Corpse, freaking amazing, like Texas death metal band. Yeah, they're just fucking heavy. Like, you know, if you like bands like Frozen Soul and Creeping Death, like just that like heavy Texas style death metal, you'll dig it. Yeah, I got this off the Desert Wastelands website. I really like the artwork too. It's like a spray painted, reminds me of like those old albums from like the early 2000s. But yeah, it's a really cool album, really heavy. Check it out if you're a fan of like Frozen Soul. All right, yeah, it's Flesh Rot. See, next album, I don't have the physical copy. It's Sedimentum, and the name of the album is Separation Morphogenesiac. So I might have mispronounced that, but they're like kind of like a old school inspired death metal band from Quebec, Canada. And yeah, they're just a badass kind of like old school death metal. Definitely inspired by bands like Incantation. And yeah, they definitely kind of remind me of those bands from like the Pacific Northwest, like Witch Vomit, Mortiferum. yeah, Fetid, a lot of those bands, they kind of fall into that style. But yeah, it's their first album. I heard them from a split they released with Phobophilic last year, I believe. And since it was their first album, I definitely wanted to check it out. So, and then the artwork's really cool. I pre-ordered the vinyl, and I don't know when it'll get here, but I mainly pre-ordered it for the artwork. So, yeah, check them out. Next is this album here by Maul, Seraphic Punishment. Yeah, holy crap, that's such a cool artwork. But yeah, Maul, they're death metal from Fargo, North Dakota. That's what the vinyl looks like. Definitely more hardcore influenced. Yeah, I've been a fan of Maul for a while now. Been collecting a lot of their EPs and demos. So this is their first full-length album. So a lot of those songs from the EPs and demos have a cleaner production now on this album. Yeah, there's just like I said, they're more influenced by more hardcore. Bands like Zabulba, Creeping Death, even Black Breath, kind of got that. They got that style. The vocals are really impressive. I mean, there's just the range that the vocalist, I believe his name's Garrett. I interviewed him on a podcast last year. Damn, the vocal work on this album is just freaking impressive. I mean, there's so many ranges, and his range kind of varies with the tempo of the music. When it's fast, blasting, death metal, he really kind of has that deep guttural. But then when the band slows down and kind of goes into a groove, yeah, he definitely has that high end shrieking vocals, which damn, it's fucking impressive. But yeah, check that out if you haven't. Next, I don't have the physical copy. I got the digital copy. It's Mantar. Pain is Forever, and This is the End is the name of the album, and it's their fourth album. If you don't know Mantar, they're a two-man band from Germany, and they've been playing more kind of blackened sludge metal. But this is kind of a different one. I mean, there's still some of that black metal on this album, but it has more a rocking groove to it. Reminds me of AC/DC and Thin Lizzy. Yeah, just really cool, heavy, groovy album. It's really fun too. It doesn't get me in a negative headspace. It's just a cool album. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, check it out, man. It's really good. These are kind of my last two, probably more my favorites of the month. This is Conjurer, and the name of the album is Pathos. So Conjurer, I believe this is their second album. So Conjurer's kind of a sludge post-metal band from England, and this is from Nuclear Blast. Yeah, I heard a lot of hype about this album earlier this year. I follow a lot of bands and band members, and a lot of bands were really hyping this. They were really saying it's going to be a really sick album. And so yeah, I went ahead and just kind of went off of that. And yeah, it's freaking heavy, super heavy, really sludgy. Honestly, they reminded me of early Mastodon, the first two albums Mastodon put out, especially that Leviathan album. Yeah, it definitely reminds me of that, and also reminds me of a post-metal band from Germany called The Ocean. Yeah, I really get that feeling of like when I first heard Gojira, it's just so heavy, and it's very like emotional too. You know, the way the albums play out, the melodic sections. There's even some clean vocals, very like cinematic and heavy. Yeah, it's just super fucking heavy. Yeah, check it out. It's really worth your time. All right, my favorite album of the month here, Wake. The name of the album, Thought Formed Descent. This is, I believe, it's their 6th album. So here's the vinyl. So Wake, they're a band out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So Brett the Hitman Hart country. Yeah, like it's just it's just been my favorite album this past July. You know, if you've heard Wake before, you know they were more like a blackened death metal grindcore fusion. Especially like their last album, their last full-length album, Devouring Ruin, that came out 2 years ago. And then they released an album, an EP after that, in between this album and their last album. And it kind of has more in common with that, where it's more post-metal. This album, I would say, has even more like shoegaze influence. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big Def Heaven fan, so yeah, it definitely kind of takes me back to some of those early Def Heaven albums. The guitar work, you know, the atmospheric soundscapes that they play with the lead guitar. Yeah, it's just super heavy, you know, like the first half of the album is definitely my favorite. You know, like there's the intro, 3 songs, and then the second half of the album there's 3 songs and 2 like instrumentals. But yeah, oh my god, that first half of the album just like blew me away. I mean, if you like Stranger Things, it's sort of like that meme everyone's been sharing where when you put on the headphones you feel like you're levitating. It's just that fucking good. But yeah, definitely my favorite album of the month. And that's it. You know, it's August already, and really looking forward to some of the stuff coming out. Soulfly is coming out this week. Really looking forward to that. Amon Amarth, Phobophilic's new album. I'm really looking forward to that too. So definitely, you know, I'll do another one of these once I have like my collection from this upcoming month. All right, yeah, thank you.